Hello and welcome to Creating Canon with your hosts AJ Hamilton and Nickelback Pumpernickel.
I'm officially offended.
Oh,
This is the first
the
time.
first part.
I'm making note that it's official.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Nickelback.
Nickelback Pumpernickel.
I was fine with Pumpernickel. It was the
offended.
Nickelback part that I
Official.
am not okay with.
So it should have just stopped at nickel. They
That's
never
fine.
should have brought it back.
I'm bringing Nickel back.
Where's it been? Where's it been? I know how I got my quarter
Justin
back.
knows.
Yeah, hey. He does.
Timberlake knows where it was hiding the whole time.
Oh, and also, let's announce that we have a guest this week.
I think people know we have a guest. They just don't know that person's name.
I just hijacked this moment.
And that's why I'm going to introduce her.
Yeah.
Because she's already being cleverer than you.
I paid him to say that.
I'm Nicholas C. Pappas, by the way.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Nicholas C. Pappas. And visiting us this week is the lovely and talented Adrienne Whitney Papp.
Making her triumphant return
Indeed.
after the Cry in the Dark episode.
Yes. Yeah.
Dingo ate my baby.
That is an uncannily accurate presentation.
Yeah, I've been working on my Meryl Streep for a very long time.
It's
It's
you and
paying off.
Streep, yeah.
Dingo ate my baby.
I
I'm
actually-
the Iron Woman. Listen to
I
me,
can't tell
Ricky and the
it-
Flash.
it's like she's right here.
I know.
She's
I know.
like right here next
Yeah.
to me, and I can't.
She's been here all the
Meryl?
time.
Meryl.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Are
It's
you
just
a
another
deer
role.
hunter?
You know what? If Meryl tried to do, we're on a first name basis, by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
me and
yeah,
Meryl.
of course.
Meryl
Maris?
and I, yeah, Maris.
Maris.
If Maris tried to do a Nick impression,
It would be so good.
I wouldn't be able to know the difference between her doing an impression of you and you doing an impression of her.
I think that's a compliment to Meryl Streep and an insult to me.
It's a nothing
Take it
to
as you
you,
will.
actually. I think
Yeah.
it's just a nothing to you. You
Okay.
exist for Meryl to inhabit.
Well, when Mara is around,
Yeah,
You know
when
what?
the mayor is around,
When Mayor's...
Mayor's
everyone
can,
else is not
Mayor's
really
can
consequential.
inhabit me in any iteration that she wants to.
And
Okay. Well, let's jump into it, everybody.
So, anyways, this is Mayor's Cast,
Mayor's Cast.
Pod Streep,
Street Pod.
Street Pod.
Yeah, we are back this week, and we are talking about a wonderfully 80s movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my goodness. Could this be more 80s?
I don't know. I think it's
No.
like if the 80s had sex with the 80s
Uh-huh.
and they had a baby that was pure cocaine and someone from the 80s snorted it
While
and
listening
that
to Cyndi Lauper?
somehow gave birth to while listening to Cyndi Lauper
and that nasal drip was this movie.
was this movie. Yeah. that's
Actually,
exactly-
that's a little unfair to this movie.
But
This
then
I
they
know.
made a lipstick out of it in a hot pink color
Yes.
and applied it to their mouth.
Hey, you know
Anywhere
what?
on the mouth, really.
This is a long process to make this movie
I don't think
into.
you understand how fucking 80s it is.
No,
Yeah.
it really is.
And the movie,
Did you
of
see those
course,
blouses? Oh my goodness.
Oh, I saw.
blousey.
Blouse
Blousey.
eye. Blouse eye.
Blouse
Yes,
Blouse
yeah.
eye.
It's just blouses, guys.
Okay.
Well, I don't know.
Eh.
I wasn't there.
You were, though.
Oh,
Oh boy.
oh yeah. So no, we
old
haven't.
are
I don't know. Doesn't matter. So this movie is called Mannequin. Yes,
Mannequin?
Mannequin.
Man, I can.
Man, I
Man.
can.
Man, I can watch that again.
Oh my God, there are so many double meanings in this movie.
Seriously.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you want me to just
please,
do the
please
quick
tell
plot?
us. Yeah, for those uninitiated.
I'm going to actually kind of. I thought it was really important. You know what? I'll just read it.
Cool.
When a young ancient Egyptian woman is forced to marry a camel dung seller, she prays to the gods for an escape. And she gets it by becoming the star mannequin in a 1980s Philadelphia department store where she meets the man of her dreams in the hapless artist, Jonathan Switcher. I thought I'd go from a different point of view a little bit, considering the movie is called Mannequin. She is the main character, and,
No, yeah,
we start with her.
it definitely starts out following her.
Yeah.
And then we switch over. Do you think this was a double lead movie? Is that what it felt like, or did it sort of jump over to his story?
No, it was 100%. It was always his story.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. Even though she started out
No, we did like a quick little thing about what she is.
lip service. No.
Yeah, it was totally that, just so that it didn't seem so completely crazy
Yeah.
which that didn't help.
No.
It just made me like it more.
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
And then it was like she's just a manic pixie dream girl, or as Nick said during the
A
movie.
mannequin pixie dream girl.
Yes.
You
right.
and
Thank
you.
you for setting me up for that. I
course.
appreciate
Oh
that.
my god, portmanteaus and puns.
Yep.
It's too much.
I said, "Oh, manic pixie dream girl," and bam, he was right there with mannequin.
Mannequin pixie dream girl.
Right there.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
Well, my god, this movie is fun.
Right?
Yes,
I mean,
it's a delight.
Delightful.
It really
Don't
like,
copy
Whoa,
me.
that was weird.
to one brain. So that
Yeah.
means one brain in the room. That's good.
That was an insult to you.
Yeah, I know.
Which is
That's
awesome.
why I did it.
Spread like okay, yeah, I don't know, maybe it was.
This motherfucker called me Nickelback earlier.
You know what?
You just
I'm trying to be neutral, and it's
Ugh,
we all
no.
know that I'm not really neutral.
no.
about
She,
things, so it's
she
difficult.
likes me way more than you.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
So it's fine.
Probably true. It's really sad.
So we get through the opening weird scene of
Which takes
her
place
and
in
her mo-
Egypt,
Ancient
and she's a
Egypt.
mummy.
Well-
2514 BC, right?
Well, the
let me
most
verify.
important thing is that it's actually
Yes.
the chyron on the screen comes up and it says a really long
Yes.
time ago, right before lunch, which
Oh no, but it was like a really long time ago, and then it kind of like
Yeah,
waited
the-
a little while.
the-
So we're like,
the-
oh, okay.
right before lunch.
And
Which
then it really didn't reference lunch. It had nothing to do with
No,
it. It was just
no.
a delightful little.
But it does just like it
us the
establishes that silly playfulness that
Yes.
don't worry, this isn't a serious movie.
No.
We didn't really take that long to build this Egyptian tomb that she's hiding.
She's literally wrapped in gauze, and I think she's supposed to be a mummy, and she literally looks like someone went down to Rite Aid and picked up some gauze, but she's still living. She is. I want to point out she's
There's
living.
other mummies though that are not living.
Right.
Yeah,
Just
that's the way
exposed.
tombs work.
And apparently her mom is like literally her mom is playing matchmaker with her,
Yeah.
and she's a mummy in this tomb,
Oh,
Right.
God.
which is really funny.
Her
Yeah.
mom was amazing. Just in the fact that she walks in and she's like, "Oh, the gods have so much to worry about. You think it's about you? We've got the floods and we've got
The
The
pharaoh
wheat-
has hemorrhoids.
The wheat shortage.
but it was
yeah,
that
that
was
actually-
better.
But it was actually pronounced hemorrhoids,
Hemorrhoids.
It's true. I'm
which
sorry.
was
Thank you.
amazing. Hemorrhoids.
And she did also say, if women could change anything, don't you think I would let you? Like, don't you think
There's
I'd let
got-
you do that? But we can't do anything.
And
now.
she literally says, "There's got to be a better way."
right.
I was like, "Is this an infomercial at 3:00 in the morning?"
It was basically
There's gotta be a better
infomercial
way.
for how the 80s are so much better than, you know, whatever time
4,000
80s in
years
America,
before.
you know, it was definitely like an embracing of the 80s and women's power.
Yeah.
Which the movie actually really did do quite well. It was very feminist in many ways, and also not, you know, because
Yeah,
because it's still an 80s movie.
it rides
It's a product
that
of its
line.
time, but it,
Yeah.
really, it really tried to do it, but it was still a product.
It was. I think it was the best that the 80s could do.
Oh yeah, I was impressed.
But we talked about it. I think that it fell on the right side of history for the time.
Yeah,
You know,
totally.
for
for sure.
a lot of things. I mean, there were still, you would definitely cringe if this was made today.
Oh, 100%.
like
yes.
there are unacceptable things for today.
Yeah, there was an interesting moment where there's a character played by Meshach Taylor who was really known for, I think most of his career he played gay men.
His
Like,
flamboyant gay
his
characters.
flamboyant gay men.
Yeah.
In designing women. And
Sure.
he's actually the only character who shows up in Mannequin 2.
Okay, it's a good through line.
Yeah, sure. But he plays Hollywood. And
Mom?
the thing about
Hollywood Mondro.
Hollywood Montrose,
Right.
who is definitely gay. And what's interesting is all of the bad guys in the movie refer
Yeah.
to his gayness in a negative way.
Right.
Someone calls him a Mary and things like that.
Mary
and
and
a
a
fairy
fairy
and
and
something
different
else.
things like that.
But it was really fascinating because the lead character, played by Andrew McCarthy, who, of course, we later meet after we meet Kim Cattrall. We should have said Kim Cattrall plays Emmy, who is the mannequin. And Andrew McCarthy, who's this, like, hapless artist who wants to just get a job and make his girlfriend Roxy happy and whatnot. He can't keep a job, and he finally accidentally gets this job. One of the things that should be known, just to kind of like catch us up to where we are in the movie, is that Jonathan Switcher, played by Andrew McCarthy, actually makes a mannequin that he is like in love with.
The first job that he's fired from is mannequin maker.
Yeah. So Anyways.
And one of the first things he does say to the mannequin, which I thought was kind of interesting, is looking at the face of the mannequin. When he has the mannequin, we don't actually see the completed mannequin. He's in the process of constructing it.
Yeah.
And he says to the torso/face, the most embodied, part of it, you get more beautiful every day. Which you're kind of like, oh, that's romantic. And also, why am I thinking that's cute that he's talking to like a mannequin? It's a little bit disturbing.
Right.
If he wasn't so puckish, I think the casting is completely
crucial.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it's like you get more beautiful every day.
Right. Yeah. Don't cast Ron Perlman.
Yeah, and
or something like that.
She is topless at the time. Like she's a naked mannequin. Like her boobs are right there, and he's looking into her eyes. And
he never looks down. There's never any question about he never cups her boobs.
He's very pure for being a leading man in that. Yeah.
In 1987, because I think. You're absolutely right, actually. I think you make a really interesting point because it is a topless mannequin at that point. And it's a topless mannequin that, I know this is going to sound crazy when I talk about this, but a lot of mannequins don't have nipples or things like that. Right. And this mannequin actually had nipples.
Do you think at the time it was?
At the time, maybe it was more common.
Because they've evolved into sort of everything's smooth, everything's not.
That's interesting.
It might be.
Well, the thing that I was gonna say though is they looked real. The boobs on the mannequin looked practically real.
Right.
Yes.
And one of the things I think the bad version of this movie would have done is he would have touched the boobs or cupped the boobs.
Right. Yeah.
And even when he was picking the mannequin up to move it places, he wasn't picking it up from the breast.
He was dancing with it.
He was holding its torso and holding it close to him and dancing kind of with it.
It embodied it with total
humanity and yeah.
But anyways, so he gets fired from that job and he gets fired from a series of other jobs, and he ends up seeing that same mannequin in the window dressing of a store, and the window is dressed by Hollywood Montrose.
That's right.
This is where we're going back to it.
I see now.
And Jonathan ends up working with Hollywood, gets a job there, ends up working with Hollywood on window dressings. And there's a character, people call Hollywood, all these things behind his back. It's always the bad people who do it.
Yes.
It's never the good people. And there's just a really interesting moment where somebody calls him a Mary, and the lead character is like, oh, that's really interesting. Where are you from, you bigot? Where other bigoted people are.
Right.
Actually, I think, sorry, I'm gonna womansplain. It goes even further, I think, than what you're saying. The guy sort of makes fun of Andrew's actual job that he got, window dressing, basically sort of implying that the job itself was a little bit
emasculating.
Yeah.
And he said, well, it could be worse. I could be working for a bigoted guy, I could be working for somebody bigoted or something like that.
You,
implying, something like that. And so the implication was, I don't want to be a security guy like you. Bigoted asshole. I'd rather go work with the awesome gay dude doing my my feminine job, quote unquote.
So again, they find great ways of simple one-liners or simple displays of positivity in a lot of this, and which is really cool.
And Meshach Taylor's performance of Hollywood is just
over the top,
insane and over the top. But the thing that is also interesting is every other character in this movie is kind of insane. And
it's a cartoon.
Well. It's a cartoon.
Just listening
of cartoons. One of the things you were so
excited
about.
Yes. The opening credits have the classic kind of 80s cartoon where as soon as the kind of Egyptian cold open, the sort of cold open with the Egyptian thing happens, it immediately cuts to the credits, which is a total cartoon, and made me think of one of my favorite movies, Troop Beverly Hills, classic 80s.
The way you paused there, it sounded like Troop Beverly Hills died, and you were reacting.
Mourning.
It's just that I can never go back to being a child watching that. I have to be me now. And the magic.
You have to live in the world where you've already seen it, and you can't experience it again.
Yeah, you can't.
I know.
Yeah.
And that 80s cartoon intro is a thing that I love, because also Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dad had it.
Sure.
Rockula, which is a movie we did on the podcast, had it. And it feels very of the time with comedy.
Yeah.
One thing I was going to say, because I don't remember which one of you mentioned it, talking about Andrew McCarthy being really just the way he was able to talk to the mannequin and be like, you get more and more beautiful every day.
Yeah.
And it wasn't creepy, that it was actually kind of endearing. I actually thought this was interesting, is that they actually hired a market researcher named Joseph Farrell to serve as an executive producer on this. And he specifically chose people and cast people to target specific demographics. And McCarthy at this point was not a star. He'd only been in a couple of things, but he was cast after a bunch of his test footage showed that he strongly appealed to girls, which they figured was the target audience of this movie.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which is, I think, fascinating.
Because did you know that girls be shopping? According to every comedian in the 80s.
Right.
Women be shopping.
Well,
That's
actually
true.
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, I mean, it's actually a really smart move because you kind of already have the whole classic trope of the like, we already know we're going to have a sexy mannequin wearing a bunch of different clothes, attracting some dudes. So well, how are we going to get the girls?
Sure.
How are we going to get the girls to bite
Yeah.
on this one? You know,
Yeah.
in some ways.
But doing that market research is fascinating,
It's really fascinating.
and putting it towards a movie, because maybe that was a time, I'm not saying that this is a revolutionary movie, but I'm saying that maybe at the time minority demographics weren't necessarily being targeted, and they were like, hey, let's bring in everybody. Let's include everybody.
I think specifically as well, this is probably one of the, I mean, I could be completely wrong about this, but
Yeah, probably.
this feels very, this feels very much like the idea of that feels very modern Hollywood.
Oh, for sure.
That we're going to like research this and find target demographics and like,
Right, like
attached to that.
a horse made by a committee is a camel.
Yeah.
Although,
Yeah,
actually, it seems almost like, I guess I'm actually agreeing with you hard in the sense that it seems almost even better than maybe now, in the sense that it was sort of
Right.
it was
Like it's
before
almost
the filming.
innocent.
Like they're almost part of the casting process.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Of like, what do you like? And now it's sort of like, I feel like I actually hear people always complaining about, I don't think that person's attractive. Why are they the lead in this? That person has no charisma. Why are they the lead? I hear that all the time. Which actually makes you wonder, why are people so...
You're saying that
tone deaf
the
about these
viewing public should have a say over who is cast in the main character role.
It's kind of an
We should
interesting
all be
concept.
part of it.
Well,
I don't want to see Nicholas Hoult in anything else. I'm just kidding.
I
He's
like
great.
Nicholas
Oh,
Hoult.
I'm kidding.
You mean Nickelback Holt?
That's right.
Yeah.
But there
No,
is
I
an
love
interesting-
Nicholas Hoult.
I mean, what would happen if you're like, okay, here are these 3 established actors audition tapes, here are these 3 new
It's
people.
like a
Like, what do
reality
you like?
show.
Well, I was just going to say, it's like an American Idol.
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing, but
yeah.
There
acting.
is.
Ooh.
Yeah, which I feel
I think we've created the next. Who's going to be the
shit.
next heartthrob of a
Who's
young
going to
adult
star
novel?
in Mannequin 3 on the
Moon.
sales floor?
Oh, I
I
thought.
wonder if this guy realized that this could have gone in a really bad direction without the
didn't-
correct dude.
Yeah.
Isn't there something in there that was like they were surprised that this even got released?
Oh yeah, this is so. One of the things about this movie is that just a couple of the other actors in it, because this actually
sure.
has like a who's who of like incredible actors
Yeah.
of the time who probably weren't all that famous maybe, but have become people
Sure.
who we know. So we've got Kim Cattrall obviously as the lead. We got Andrew McCarthy as
She was
the.
fantastic.
Oh, she is so good in
killed it.
this. She's one of those people where, like, I don't know how to phrase this right, but Sex and the City, I think, gives her a kind of specific. We have a very specific view of her, and now, of course, I've saw a few episodes of Sex and the City, but I wouldn't call myself an expert.
Sure.
But she was sort of like the over-sexualized,
Yes.
nasty, mean, angry, bitchy.
Like, oh, that
right?
is too much. Yeah, absolutely.
Is that? Why are either of you
If-
a Sex and the City person?
I think
From-
she was a little bit... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go.
Oh,
You're the guest.
oh, well, stop. I don't know if she was nasty as much as, like, really comfortable with her sexuality more than anyone
I
else.
think that's the thing.
Okay.
And-
Yeah.
Which I guess to some people could be viewed as nasty. I don't know.
No, but it was always like what is it, Charlotte? I don't know what her name
Charlotte was
was.
the naive one. So
Okay,
kind of,
then not that one. But
Oh,
they would
Sarah
say,
Jessica
"Oh,
Parker's.
Kim Cattrall, you are so."
She was the Samantha.
Her name was Samantha, yeah.
Okay,
She was Samantha. Well, because I feel
Yeah.
like I could be really again. I'm not an expert, but I do remember like around that time the show was on. All of the girls who were sort of like there was a very specific type of, that would call themselves the Samantha.
Yes, exactly.
And that usually attached to also, and maybe bitchy or nasty is the wrong word, but it's also like the person who's like, let me tell you what's wrong with you, and I'm not going to fucking care about what I'm going to tell you.
Or just very open and honest
Yeah,
about her
like-
sexuality,
more
which is
like
like
that.
which is awkward to some people. But yeah, I think that was definitely
She was
her
definitely
archetype.
like a blunt,
Yeah.
but also like really, yeah.
And maybe I'm also getting, because I know Sarah Jessica Parker and her do not get along. They like hate each
Oh,
other.
God.
So maybe getting like the real life conflated
Maybe.
with the
You maybe.
Yeah.
the characters. But long story short, like I think what's really like way too late for that. But I think what's really interesting is she is so charming in this.
Well, she's innocent in this.
Well, no, she's not.
But she's also really comfortable with her sexuality.
Yes,
you know
100%.
you know what I loved about this, and you raised the manic pixie dream girl even before it was sort of that heavy of a trope or even invented in our lexicon. But what is different from her is, yes, she is the muse, the person who is inspiring our main actor. She's not like Splash or other movies where it's like, what is that Dan Aykroyd, My Stepmother's an Alien or something like that, where the woman is just, I don't know, what's a penis? You know, I don't understand. She was very sure of herself. She was very much
She's a confident woman.
A confident woman, yes, exactly. So I think she alludes at least to have had experiences all her own and dreams of her own.
And she's traveled from different... This is not the first time she has time
No,
traveled.
apparently she hung out with Christopher Columbus and Michelangelo and stuff like that, yeah.
What's interesting, and I just put this together now, I didn't put it together when I was watching the movie, but she actually talks about how she was the one who inspired Christopher Columbus.
Yes.
And that she had, it seemed like some influence over Michelangelo.
No, he was obsessed with that dude, David.
Yep.
But I think that's interesting too, of like, she kind of pops up, and perhaps part of the story is this idea that, like, behind all these men that are considered quote unquote great over time, big quotes around great. Let me just put that, to be clear about that. But like, that she was there inspiring. So like, that might be
interesting.
Whatever that is. I don't know if that is a thing, but like,
I mean, I think she balances it.
Yeah.
You know, with the ingenue and the confident lead.
Oh, I really appreciated that she was confident in charge of her sexuality. And like, she was not in any way, there was no, what's a penis? Like, I mean, she was really, like, she was full of life. And she wasn't falling into, like, either you're sort of a sex-crazy slut or you're you know, just like, you don't
you're
know
either
what
a
that
Samantha
is.
or a, no.
Right.
Or a
but
Charlotte,
really, you know, she was just an
the
awesome
redhead,
woman.
Miranda.
Yeah, she just had lots of interests.
Or a
and
Carrie.
was into...
You got all four.
She's lots of interests and and was also like into
and she
sex.
wanted to fly.
Yeah,
and she got to fly.
The thing that
was
makes
crazy.
her the manic pixie dream girl really is that he falls in love with her before he knows any of her actual interests. He certainly takes no active interest in them. I mean, they're just happen to be there as like a bonus.
It's like, oh, you're doing that?
That's like cool. Really, that's a really cool.
Moving on.
And she also is like his inspiration for all of his like work and art,
and apparently his partner.
And apparently his partner. Well, that was an interesting thing, is because like she creates his first. So part of the story is he becomes this incredible window dresser and actually revitalizes this failing department store because, well, what happens is
run by Estelle Getty.
Run by Estelle Getty.
Oh.
We didn't finish going through the list.
All the
list
people.
of the people and then,
oh my God, we're all over the place.
So, I know, this is all over. Yeah. So we have Estelle Getty. We have James Spader, who is fucking so good in this.
Hysterical. He plays a what?
He plays like a
vice president
of this company.
The rival company.
And
the same company, but he's a rival. He's like an undercover asshole.
He's going to betray them. And
from the inside.
And the person who sort of works under him is the security guard G.W. Bailey from Police Academy, the Police Academy movies.
So good.
Who was also like incredible in this movie. And the thing that G.W. Bailey said was, this is what you were bringing up earlier. He actually said he wasn't sure this movie was ever going to get released.
Right, yeah.
Because the director kept being like, bigger, more over the top, over the top. And they were like, this is insane. We haven't acted this bad and stupid and over the top since high school.
Yeah. Or Police Academy.
3
years before.
I know, that's really funny. But let's just not go there.
No way.
Too late.
But he was surprised that the movie was actually released. And not only was it released, it did fairly well in theaters. I mean,
made
this movie...
$6 million or something?
No.
Oh, no.
Its budget was $6 million.
Oh.
It pulled in 42.7.
Dang.
What's crazy is it debuted in the box office at number 1. Beating out Over the Top, which is yet another canon film.
And they did this. I've done the research because we've been looking at all of these films, all 300 and something of them, and they would do this consistently through the 80s, releasing their own films against each other, and it made no sense whatsoever.
Well, in some ways, there is like a bit of counter-programming here, because I think the audience who's going to go see Mannequin is not exactly the same audience that's going to go see Over the Top.
But you're still cannibalizing
Sylvester Stallone arm wrestling movie.
No, of course, but you're still cannibalizing, like, I suppose...
Cannonbalizing?
Cannonbalizing. God. How do you put up with him?
No, the thing that I was going to say, though, which is interesting, like, so Cannon did not release this film in the United States. Cannon's connection was only international releasing.
Oh.
So this was actually an MGM film and Gladden Entertainment that released this in the U.S. Cannon only offered up the international release in home video. So even though it beat out a Cannon movie, they weren't necessarily
directly competing.
They were, because they weren't both Cannon films technically at that point.
What position was Over the Top in? Second?
Probably second.
Okay.
I would have to guess.
So they're winning both
They
ways.
weren't over the top.
They weren't over the top.
They didn't
were
make it.
slightly under the top.
Anyway. I mean, these were two of the better known films. Even though it's a cult classic, I think this was a fairly well-known film.
Oh, Mannequin?
Like, I mean, it's
think
referenced in so many modern films and modern comedy, I think.
Oh, yeah.
That even if people think it's schlock, it was still the it schlock of the time.
Oh, my God.
Especially, I think it's also because it's a unique idea
Yeah.
that you really actually can't really rip off without being a big copycat. So it kind of is, it's a one-stop.
Well,
Unless
and
you have a sequel, really.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
You actually brought this up because this movie was inspired by two things. One was the fact that the director and writer Michael Gottlieb was walking around and he saw, I think, a mannequin at Bergdorf's move, and it tripped him out, and he
Thought
realized,
you saw it move, right?
Yeah,
And
they were just moving
they
it
were
by the
moving
legs.
it by the leg.
He's like, huh.
But it
That's
well,
how
it
we
just
fuck
turned
with
out to
these
be.
guys.
It turned out to be just like a trick of the light,
Okay.
and the window, the way the window was there. So he took this idea of like a moving mannequin and he crossed it with, and we do some research on this, of course, but Adrienne didn't see the research.
Yeah.
And she called it out right in the movie when she said it was a remake of.
Oh, Pygmalion, yeah.
Of
As soon as
course.
he said, "Oh, you're more beautiful," I mean, the minute he grabbed the torso, well, it also looks like there's a very famous Pygmalion painting.
Oh, okay.
And it almost looks like a direct visual representation.
I would not doubt that.
It's if we just I'll pull it up on my phone. I don't know where it is, but this one, bam.
We will throw that a link into the description.
So it's that one, and then
Oh,
also this one next to it.
interesting.
But he looks like he's dancing with it, and the fact that he was like dancing
I
it.
feel like they probably ripped that directly out of there.
Probably.
And there's a few like
wow,
there's
cool.
a few famous depictions of this.
Of course.
But those immediately popped into my brain, especially
Nice.
that one where it almost looks like they're embracing and dancing.
Huh.
And of course I knew that the mannequin does come to life, so I could.
Right.
If I didn't know that the mannequin came to life, I never would have.
You'd be like, "What is this
up on it
creepy
within, like,
fucker?"
frame 1 or frame
Right.
3 or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
it is.
yeah.
But yeah, apparently it is supposed
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
And it continued to have Pygmalion reference, like it really capitalized on it.
Well, it was his creation. They eventually
Yeah.
fell in love. And that should just be like, just to quickly just finish out the story. 'Cause
Sure.
it's one of those weird movies where there's actually not much story
Well,
in
it's
that.
you know what it is. The arc is let's have a bake sale to save the community center,
Absolutely.
right? I mean,
That's
let's
exactly what it
do
is.
something to save this failing something.
So yeah, 100%. So like, yeah, to just be very clear and like to really wrap that up towards the end real fast, he just basically at that point, let's see, where were we? He has this job at this failing store.
He's bringing it back out.
Everyone. The more
out of the
he
red.
does for the store, the more people shop there, and the
He's-
rival store.
He's the Santa and Miracle on 34th Street.
Yes, he's the Santa on Miracle on 34th Street. Yeah. So and then the rival store wants to destroy his mannequins.
And they kidnap
so
her.
James Spader and G.W. Bailey
my
kidnap
God.
her. Oh,
They
we didn't
are-
mention this.
what?
This is actually really integral to the plot. The
Please.
only person that can
yes.
see her move is Andrew McCarthy,
She
her
frees.
creator.
She turns back into a mannequin whenever
when
anybody
anyone
else looks
sees
at
her.
her. Yeah.
So he does actually. There's a lot of comedy involved in the fact that people like start to believe that he's basically like a mannequin fucker.
Yeah.
Like they're just like, okay, you and your mannequin inspiration alone in the room.
But surprisingly supportive.
Yeah.
Oddly
They're, like,
supportive.
really
Like,
looking-
everybo's like, oh, he's saving the company.
because he's an artist.
Yeah,
Wherever you
yeah.
get your inspiration, I feel like if you were like, a CEO or something, and they're like, "Can you stop bringing the mannequin to our fucking board meetings?" It'd be a bit of a different situation.
He was the vice president by the middle of the movie.
But he was still the artiste.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair
Right.
enough.
And he saves the day. He saves the company.
He
And
does.
the moral of the story is
And he
artists
saves-
get away with a ton of shit.
Yeah, it's very true.
Bam.
Oh my God, that's why Hollywood is like this.
That's exactly right. Wait, Hollywood the character
yeah.
or Hollywood the city?
Both.
Okay. Jesus Christ, it's like I set you up. Yeah, he saves the day.
And he saves the girl.
Oh, that's exactly what I was going to say. And by the end of the movie, of course, she no longer is a mannequin. She could be seen by everybody.
Right.
once they fall in love officially.
Sure.
Or maybe it's been
I was complaining about this. Other than the looking at rule, there's no other rules set out. It's not like a wizard cursed her and is like, you will have to skip through time until you find true love. Blah. You know, he's also a vampire.
She references the gods at one point when she explains to him. He does say, like, hey, what, at one point in the movie, kind of early on, hey, what the heck? Like, why were you all frozen? Why did you come to life when someone else came? And she's like, I can't help it, you know, talk to them, and kind of referencing, like, you know.
Was it a punishment for skipping out on her husbands?
No, she prayed to the gods to not marry the dung dealer.
And then she,
so they were like,
she wanted to marry for love.
Yeah.
So at the end of the movie, when he saves her from getting chopped up as a mannequin, she comes to life and someone else can see her. She actually looks up to the sky and she says thank you again to the gods, which I think is our understand. Like for us, our understanding is that she loves him and he loves her. Like he's willing to put himself in danger, do anything to save her.
And also, there's sort of an understanding that she can sense or see what is going on while she's frozen.
Yeah.
So maybe she realizes he's not necessarily sacrificing, but saving her life, and maybe that brings her out of it. Maybe she's like, "This is the guy for me."
Well, she did come out of it when the security guard was beating him up, and she kind of hit him on the head when he wasn't. The security guard wasn't looking.
Turned,
so she's totally conscious at all times.
Yeah.
She just can't.
She's like, God, I can't do anything. Back. This could be a horror movie.
Yes,
actually, you could read
House of Wax.
And she comes to life. Oh, that's interesting. You know, it is the falling in love thing because. Remember that it was a really cool shot. It was a close up of her hand starting to come. It
must have been like covered in like a specific. Yeah, exactly.
Who knows what?
It was really cool.
It was,
there were a couple of really interesting transitions from mannequin to falling, and sometimes it was just doing cuts.
Well, actually, I thought that was one of the things that I loved about it was they didn't do any like bad CGI thing or like bad fades where like the mannequin turns to her and we see it. It was all with very clever, like, cutting back and forth moments.
That's the thing. It was a clever...
The motorcycle chase is what I'm thinking of.
Yes.
Oh, it was so good.
And that's the scene that convinced me that he was not insane. Remember
is true.
that?
Yes.
AJ, the whole movie was like...
It was like, there's a possibility that this man is just imagining all of his romps with this girl and everybody's just putting up with it. And then she flips the
finger
to the guy.
Spader and Bailey.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, well then clearly she's a magical sprite being. Yeah, of course.
Well, at some point it's like, and it's a mannequin hand that where the fingers are not movable. It's kind of like a Barbie hand, you know, where it's like always, and all of a sudden the hand is doing she's giving the finger from behind while she's riding the motorcycle.
I'm convinced this is magic.
Yeah.
Now I believe it.
It's all about the finger.
Yeah.
It was so great.
Oh man.
Yeah, you know, I just keep thinking about how entertaining this movie was and how smart certain aspects of it were.
Yeah.
From start to finish. It's one of those movies where I find, and AJ and I have talked about this, but like, if a movie is bad, we take like a billion notes. If a movie is good, we take like 7.
Yeah.
I think part of it is just because we're just so into it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking like, so there's a scene early in the movie where, so it goes from that Egyptian thing where it has a really long time ago, right before lunch.
Right.
And then we cut to him like dancing with the mannequin. He gets fired and then he gets 3 new jobs, and the first job he gets is as a balloon seller.
Oh my god.
And there's a gigantic balloon that this little shithead kid wants.
Yeah.
He's like, fine, I'll give you that balloon. He gives the little shithead kid the balloon.
Super kid,
that was what his shirt said.
Stupid
the
kid.
little kid grabs the balloon and starts floating away, which to me was one of those things where it sets up within the first like 2 minutes.
Like, don't worry too much about the rules.
Right. Like, this is a movie that is going to be insane.
Yeah.
If you think about logic, you're not going to like it.
And if you judge people's decisions or anything like that. Like, at one point, Bailey, the security guard, Felix, he just starts wailing on Andrew McCarthy. Like, he gets into a fist fight with him because he's mad at him for making his dog run away. And then he was
laying on the mannequin. The mannequin was laying on top of him.
Right. And then
he thought it was gross.
And then he's like, this is gross. I'm going to fight you physically, even though you're an employee.
Yeah.
But please remove the mannequin from your body first. He's like,
and also he said, this one's for my mother. And I was like, what did he ever
this
do?
Is for my mother.
Yeah. It's like, fair
he
enough.
also said earlier,
it was delightful.
It's gotta be.
He also said earlier, when he was first tasked by James Spader's character. So, oh my God, this was actually like one
Those
of the
two
greatest
are
duos of
Abbott
lines.
and Costello.
Oh, they're so good in
Yeah.
this.
It's amazing.
Can we just have the sequel where it's actually just the story of the two of
I
them?
want to see that.
I want to
would
see
pay
them
money.
today.
Yes.
Yeah.
As those.
Yes.
But James Spader, so like Bailey is like, says like all these creepy things to James Spader.
Yeah.
And Bailey is the night security guard and James Spader is the daytime guy.
Yeah.
And James Spader just looks him dead in the face and he says, "You people who work at night scare me," which was so funny. But then he gives him this task. Spader gives Bailey this task to watch McCarthy to see like, who are you working with? You know, what's going on? And Bailey basically says straight to the camera. He goes, "Oh, we're gonna get that little fart blossom."
I wrote Fart Blossom! I was
Which
about to say.
I was dying.
I died at Fart Blossom.
Fart Blossom here
You
too.
wrote
Fart
fart.
Blossom.
We all wrote fart blossom.
Fart
Absolutely.
Blossom.
Also,
And
something.
then I wrote, can I show you something in your size?
Oh God.
Oh, I also liked. I'd never. This is such a quotable movie. I'd never stop you from getting a piece of wood
Yes!
by Hollywood. Oh my God. Also, I don't know why I wrote this down. Somebody can remind me. I'm a squid.
Oh,
Because
You could-
Estelle Getty.
Yeah, she says.
Estelle Getty says,
you
"I
could-
don't care if he's running around screaming,
Yes.
I'm a squid. I'm a squid. He's doing a great job." Speaking of Andrew McCarthy, which was
I
again,
think I didn't said I'm a or something. I don't
one
know.
of us said, "I'm a squid" as he walks up
I
behind
I
her.
think I did it. But
It was like we were jumping into Mystery Science Theater 3000. I'm a squid.
and
That's
I'm
what he
like,
should have
I
said.
just now. I was like, oh, my God, give me credit. Did you like that? That's a real
I
dick
loved
move.
it.
Yeah.
It's good.
Estelle
It's
Getty
nice.
was great
Dick
in this
move
movie
right
too,
here.
where she's
She was
got
amazing.
like these like she doesn't wear glasses on her face. She has those like monocle glasses that she holds the
Like
entire
reading glasses.
movie.
They're reading
Yeah, yeah,
glasses.
yeah.
They're reading
right.
glasses.
And they're on a chain
on a
or
chain
something like
on her
that.
neck.
Yeah.
But they're like the Morpheus glasses that don't have the ear
Right.
things.
Yeah. They just
She just
sit
holds them the entire movie in every scene, and in one scene
at a celebration.
At a celebration, she actually just like sets them in her drink without even realizing.
Yeah.
Which
The
is-
actor.
I'm pretty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Not just in character.
It was so good.
Because then she gets ready to cheers everybody, and then she looks down and realizes her
She pulls
glasses
it
are
out.
in, and she's like, "Oh, well."
I'm going with
gonna
that was
try-
actually a choice that Estelle Getty made. I don't think she
Oh.
did
Really?
that on accident. I think she did that on purpose.
You think so? Because I think she was just rolling
Think
with
of
it.
all the
Don't you
crazy
think?
shit that happens in this movie.
Yeah, but that seemed like such a subtle thing,
No,
and everything else
I
is
was
so
gonna say, yeah, it
big.
was too subtle that I actually feel like that.
I think it was a
Maybe.
there was
mistake.
probably like 4. They probably had 4 takes, and they
Yeah.
were like, "That's the take we have
Yeah.
to use."
Oh, God.
And she probably busted up laughing because it cut like probably 10 seconds later or less. But they get that reaction of her being like, and then taking it out and taking a sip or
Yeah.
something like that. And I bet you she just cracked up. She was like, "Did you see?"
I put them-
She's such a professional too. I could see that
She's so
and she's smart
good.
enough to just keep going.
Yeah.
you know, with
Exactly.
that and be like,
I'm not going to ruin somebody
yeah,
else's take.
This gift from the and it's a gift from the acting gods. Of like,
Yeah.
this has got to be the most usable, wonderful.
We're
thing.
already doing an insane movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is just icing on the cake.
Yeah.
What else?
I
God
love
damn,
the
man.
whole section about the flambe terrorist where Andrew McCarthy accidentally set a restaurant on fire at one point
Sure.
in time.
God.
And
Yeah.
he goes back to that restaurant and accidentally sets it on fire again, and
Yep.
they call him the flambe terrorist. I mean, just little things like that were like, it was so dumb, but like so enjoyable.
I want to
and
watch
fun.
this again to see if I missed anything because
Yes.
I don't know if it's going to be like Sixth Sense or like, oh my God, there was this crazy connection or something like that. But I feel like there has to be some funny jokes in the background or something like that they just sprinkled in, you
Yeah.
know, that we missed. But I mean, it was again so 80s with the dress up montage.
There was
the
like 17 montages.
That's
in this
true.
movie.
Anyone who's
The
like into costume
chases.
design and set design and anything,
Yeah.
I feel like enjoy this movie for just that reason alone.
Yeah.
Such a variety and so much stuff happening.
Yeah.
Such attention to detail.
Absolutely.
I also thought too, which was really interesting, that so the first window display was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But they actually, I thought, got better as the movie went along.
Oh my God, the bus through the wall.
Bust through the
That was
window
amazing.
one was
Yeah.
so good.
Well, that's the funny thing is, I wonder if they stole these from other stuff that has been done at like Macy's or something like that, or if they invented this themselves. Because the first one, the tennis racket one, with the rackets going back and forth following the ball,
Which were like heads.
which were heads
like we're
through
supposed to-
shirts.
Yeah.
That was inspired. That was really fun. I mean, either they had great set dressers and were set makers, or they were taking these directly from somewhere.
I'm sure it's got to be a combination mentioned it. But how long have those, like, the famous Macy's New York City windows been going on? Like,
I'm sure
I mean,
since like
years,
the
years,
1800s,
yeah,
like late 1800s.
Those are just miraculous.
They're iconic and miraculous. Yeah.
And so, I mean, the whole conceptually, it's
yeah.
not new, but yeah, that's
Side story. One Christmas season, I went to a Macy's, and it was like, what was the Swiss Family Robinson type thing, because it was like the interior of a house that had been all overgrown with leaves and through the piano, and beautiful, amazing design. I mean, it seemed overwhelming for anything that they were possibly selling. I was like,
it takes like a year to do it.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
It's an entire.
What they do is actually
It's art.
Beautiful art. Yeah.
It's like art and engineer. I mean, it's really.
Exactly.
And construction too.
Yes.
And that was a big question we kept having in this movie, is like, where the fuck do they have time to construct this? And like, weirdly, in the back of this shop, there's like an actual a wood shop.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, they established
the wood shop.
That's fascinating, because it's like, you might question that if she hadn't been playing with all the drills and the things.
Yeah.
I love it when they use the entire environment, the whole world.
Yes.
Rather than being like, well, we have these sets. We're not going to stray from that. That was a one scene use of that entire place.
It's a little weird that she knew how to use power tools and electricity when we hadn't established that she'd been to a time when there was electricity.
I mean, technically, she was just flipping.
I think she was.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
She did say she was like, I love tool. Like, she was like, I love creating stuff, and I was like, wait. I did have a moment of like, where'd you see that tool before? That's pretty modern.
Here's the crazy part about that kind of stuff.
Oh, she's always been watching. It's creepy.
It sets up two things that are actually kind of amazing. Number one, she says, I love to make things.
Yes.
Which, when she starts making shit, you're like, oh, yeah, of course, she loves to make things. We established that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And number two, it establishes, well, not only does it, like, she seems amazed by all, like, the electricity and power tools and, like, the things at her disposal now.
Yeah.
But it also establishes the fact that this place exists.
Yes.
Without him or anyone else explaining, like, oh, this is where we build all the window displays and blah, 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 blah. Like,
and her
it's sort of a throwaway moment that then completely helps out the rest of the movie.
Showing her interacting with those things sort of shows that she is engineeringly inclined or spatially inclined to just be able to be like, yeah, I figured it out. We're reading so much into this light, fluffy popcorn comedy, but it's kind of fun to think about all the little things that they got right by accident or on purpose, because there's a lot of times in movies that they just fuck shit up like that.
And it can't be an accident that this much went right. It's just
no, it's true.
Oh, no, also to piggyback on the thing with the speakers.
Yeah.
And that just there's a point where the main guy turns on like these speakers, and it's so loud because it's like all the speakers in this one department of this department store, and she goes insane with how awesome it is and just starts dancing, and she's like, where are the instruments coming from?
Where are the musicians?
Where are the musicians hidden? Where are the musicians hidden? Where are they? Like
exactly.
looking inside, like what? How does this thing work?
Right.
Which I think kind of goes into what you were saying about just the engineering sort
being
of
able to grasp something.
Yeah, or wanting to know how things work.
Right. Yeah.
How does it
exactly.
work? It wasn't enough to just be like, this is wonderous. Thank you for creating this magical land for me.
Yeah.
It was more like, how? Tell me how.
Music out of nothing.
I want to create too. I really appreciated the way she thought.
Definitely.
It's interesting that one of the things she mentions earlier in the movie too is that she created a flying machine and she drew that stuff.
Yeah.
Which I think goes back to that thing of like, and that's at a separate point from where she talks about how she loves tools and things like that, which I think just keeps furthering cementing like that she is very, very capable at this kind of stuff. And it's interesting too that you would mention that like we keep going over this fluffy movie that seems so popcorny and like diving into it, but like, I know this sounds really stupid because you obviously know what this podcast is about, but like, this is the kind of movie that feels perfect for a thing like this, where like, I think a lot of people look at Mannequin, they have a prejudgment, they think it's stupid, they think it's a sort of thing that's dumb.
It's like, that's a weird concept.
Yeah, but there's really like a lot of really great filmmaking techniques used in this movie.
It's based on classic storytelling, first of all.
Yes.
The attention to detail is insane. Right?
It's subversive.
It's subversive,
not only with women, but also homosexuals.
Absolutely.
And
transgender.
Well, I guess, I don't even know how they...
I mean, they criticize those people, but only the bad guys, again, criticize the people cross-dressing.
And they criticize the guys who were disgusting to women. Like, some of the guys are really disgusting. And also, can I just say, one of my favorite things is that the women who, at least this one woman is an asshole. This other woman, not the Mannequin.
Andrew McCarthy's ex-girlfriend,
Roxy,
played by Carol Davis.
She was actually fantastic.
She was great.
She was multi-dimensional. I had some problems with the way her character was written. I feel like actually her character was, in my mind, the most indicative of the fact that this was a movie that wanted to be feminist but was still made in the 80s.
Yeah.
By men.
And by men, which we can certainly dive into later. But she was really like aggressively sexually harassed verbally several times, and she did not hesitate to hit men. Like, well, some guy
or
was like
tell
really
them stop,
and to
or
say
it's
stop,
gross.
and to like, and not just be like, oh my god, stop, okay, please do me. But she like fucking pushed people off and was like violent and was like, I work with you, fucking stop. And it was kind of badass.
Yeah, and the first couple of scenes that I saw her in, she was changing character. Like, it felt like a different character to me each time I saw her for the first 3 or 4 scenes, but then I realized the through line kind of it, and she made more sense to me with all of the stuff that added on to her character. And my god, then she got really forceful with the guy. She was like, fine, let's have sex. That was bizarre.
Well, there was a guy who
kept hitting
Armand, played by Christopher Marr, was constantly hitting on her and like really gross about it.
Yeah.
And he finally said to her, like, after like the 40th time, what'll make you feel better is if you have sex with someone you hate. And she was like, fine, I hate you, we'll have sex.
Yeah.
And I think this is something that you liked, Adrienne, where he...
Oh, yeah. He couldn't fucking get it up.
Yeah.
And she's like, bye.
Yeah.
But what I didn't like about him, but it was the commentary of the film. He blamed her for being unable to get up. And
right.
It was like,
you didn't show me love.
Yeah, because you're so unfeeling. And meanwhile, she like literally is clearly feeling a lot of things, and he basically was like, I would like to have sex with you because you are feeling lots of things and angry. But it was just, he was like, any excuse aside from the fact that he is unable to get his dick up.
Are you accusing a man with a satin painting of a tiger with matching sheets of not being a man?
Yeah. I mean, it was just an interesting...
AJ, are you saying that a man who can't get it up is not a man?
I was about to say that. I was thinking the same thing. I was like,
is that what you're saying? Are you going on record right now of saying that, AJ? Anyways,
I plead the fifth.
Yeah.
Moving on.
But now if that was presented as like she really is, really fuck her, and like it is her fault, but this guy has been such an established piece of shit throughout the entire movie that pretty much anything he says we are meant to hate.
I mean, that's the last loss of his.
Yes.
That's the final.
Was the fact that we, as the audience, were supposed to be like, fuck you to him about him blaming her for his lack of ability to get it up.
You had this. Like, you had this big talk the entire movie, and then you're like, no.
I mean, literally,
can't do it.
I mean, all he keeps talking about. He's literally like every time that she's in a room. P.S. She's totally a babe. He's always commenting on how she's like a babe, and he like literally is grinding on her, and he says something to her.
I've always wanted to do it in a
women's
public
lingerie or public space or whatever the hell it was, and then they were talking about shoes or some other. They were in a department for something, and he's like, and he basically was like, "Can I show you something in your size?" or something, clearly gesturing to his dick.
Yeah,
and it was just really, he was
Mr. Gross boy.
I mean,
super gross.
To highlight, and again, like I know we keep kind of hitting this, but like just to really highlight what was really interesting was the fact that the grossest men in this movie were all fucking horrible humans. They were all the bad guys, and like Andrew McCarthy and Meshach Taylor were like they were good humans.
They were decent, they were decent people,
guys. I don't think either of them were like overtly sexual or gross.
No, didn't seem like it.
They felt like the good men in this movie were good men, and it wasn't, I don't know how to phrase this right, like it wasn't that thing that a lot of 80s movies have where like all the guys are kind of gross. It seemed like they were trying to make a very specific kind of statement.
About what kind of guys are gross and why they're gross and what kind of guys are not gross.
Exactly.
I mean, you look at a lot of movies, they're walking a line of, oh, it's really cute that you stalked me. Weird stuff. There's many problems with like Revenge of the Nerds and different movies like that, where you're just like, God damn, dudes.
And those are the guys in that movie that we're supposed
that
to
are
root
the heroes.
for.
Yeah, exactly. And in this, it was
disgusting.
more pure. Andrew McCarthy was fairly innocuous in his pursuits. He was just like, I'm just a guy trying to, do stuff, have a nice life. something else subversive that I wanted to bring up, and I loved this. It was at the end of the chase with all of the rejects from Police Academy.
Yes.
That was brilliant farce. That was amazing physical comedy, all of that stuff. But at the
Keystone Cops kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Again, going back to established amazing stuff. But at the very end, like almost the sub-boss of the main boss, Hollywood just comes in and he stops all of the cops from chasing after Andrew McCarthy with a hose, with a water hose. And I thought that was
a fire hose,
yeah. To flip I mean, I don't think anybody would actively think, oh, that's a wonderful civil rights movement sort of flip, cops doing that to African American. That was such a cool little moment where he got to win, and also a homosexual African American man got to do that.
Well, and not only that,
the reference to his
manhood.
Just that was, I thought, the ultimate
and
thing
that was
because that's, you know, considered so not manly that it was. He also got the last laugh when it came to being both the biggest man and being a homosexual.
Right, he got to flex his muscles.
Yeah,
you know, he's like,
saying these are not mutually exclusive, and fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
totally. Another thing that was like, and again, I don't know if the subversive is actually the right word on this, but I thought was really fascinating, and this is still in Hollywood today.
Yeah.
The man is always like 40 or 50, and the woman is always like 20.
Yes.
And what was really interesting about this and really kind of refreshing, and it really fit their characters, is Kim Cattrall was 31 when she made this. Andrew McCarthy was 25.
Yeah.
And both their characters and the way they looked, like, she was a woman of the world. She was
the
a
world,
woman.
yeah, she'd experienced life.
And he was a boy trying to figure himself out. And I thought that was a really nice thing. It wasn't like an adult man-child who has to figure out, like, who he is. Like, he was a kid. Like, he's still a kid.
And he did need guidance a little bit.
He did need guidance.
You know, so to have a muse, to have someone who has experienced a hell of a lot in her 4,000-year life.
Right.
Kind of cool.
With confidence.
And also, it wasn't like, oh, you're my manic pixie dream girl, and like, thank you, I have successful now, we both can move on. Like, they got fucking married.
Yeah, exactly. In that beautiful.
Oh my god, that was so great.
That was that moment.
Wasn't
the ending,
that fun?
the window.
They got married in like essentially a window display. We actually, all of us had a moment where we had this like.
It's like, oh, did they set
moment?
that up?
Are they mannequins?
Where we thought that they were all frozen for a second, and we thought everyone was a mannequin. We're like, oh my god.
Through the whole movie,
was everyone a mannequin? Is this like Toy Story mannequin style? Am I flipping out? Like, what happened? But then they all kind of started moving.
They all started moving and like holding each other and hugging each other. And like Hollywood, like, and again, this is one of those things where it's like, I don't want to like harp on this, but like, I just love the fact that like Hollywood is at the wedding and like
he's
officiating the wedding.
Yeah,
so cute.
It seems like he was sort of like the best man as well as officiant.
He's insanely arch, but he is so much the heart of that movie. You know, he's the guy they go to for guidance, for alliance or help or anything like that. It was really cool. Another cool thing, you know, we talk about that montage, right? And it wasn't just a typical montage. It was like them sharing all of these fun experiences. We learned that he can play the piano, and it's not just sexual, or it's not just let's try on another hat.
In
it's
fact,
like
they stopped being sexual so that they could go, which was really an interesting turn.
It was almost like a metaphor for, hey, slow down, experience life together.
Yeah.
You know, learn about each other, have fun, and then see if you are compatible in other ways.
And they still got sexy. Like, it wasn't like, oh no, let's not be sexy.
No, they were flirty, but you know,
I was going to say flirty and sexy, but like, I don't think, I could be wrong about this, but they did not have sex until like the very end of the movie.
I'm pretty sure that's
Everything else was sort of like kissy, flirty, datey kind of stuff, which is actually kind of great. Like, I think it's like all the stuff that we're talking about.
Busy
like,
creating a bunch of shit.
They were creating and falling in love.
Partners.
Yeah.
Partners rather than lovers.
Man,
This is
such a good movie.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah,
I'm super surprised.
Honestly, like, it's so good. I'm actually surprised at the review. Like, I was just seeing that, like, an absolute rock bottom flare, dispiriting for anyone who remembers what movie comedy should be.
That was Leonard Maltin.
That's absolutely, like, how
Leonard
is that even
Maltin, get the hell out of here.
Roger Ebert gave it only a half a star, calling it dead and full of cliches. And look, this movie is full of cliches.
It absolutely is. But it's done
good movies
well.
have cliche. Like, sometimes like a good movie can like play on the old tropes of.
I'd put this up against a lot of the old comedies of the 80s.
Yeah.
And say that this is
and it
heads
holds
above
up.
it.
It holds up.
It actually holds up way better than
like Revenge of the Nerds is a great example.
of what?
like movie that
how it
holds
does
up.
not hold up
Revenge
to
of the Nerds does not hold up.
Okay, I was like, I don't understand.
Like,
Sorry,
to-
Revenge
like-
of the Nerds does not hold up.
like
and
today's
this one
social
does.
standards.
Yes.
I think this is so much more watchable. You might cringe at some of the references to homosexuals being fairies or marys.
And all
or
those
something.
characters get their comeuppance.
Again, yes,
Oh,
exactly.
yes, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're supposed to cringe. I think that's the
Yeah.
best part. Is
Oh,
like,
yeah.
again, like,
It's not meant to be, this is how you're supposed to be.
right.
Yeah. Not an example.
I love this thing. Dan McQuaid, who's the online version of the Philadelphia Magazine, fairly recently wrote, "The message of Mannequin, clumsy as it is the greatest place in time recorded history in 1880s Philadelphia. Truly, this is the most uplifting film ever made about the city," which I thought was very
Aww.
funny.
And it's always sunny there, I've heard.
It's always sunny, and yes.
Yeah.
I really
really
love this quote of Kim Cattrall talking about this movie. Do you want to read it?
Oh, sure. Oh,
Yeah.
Is it because I'm a girl?
Yes, it
Okay,
is.
cool. The actress later said that doing the film made her feel grown up. She says, "I've become more of a leading lady instead of, like, the girl. All the other movies that I've done, I played the girl, and the plot was around the guy. I've never had anybody do special lighting for me, or find out what clothes look good on me, or what camera angles are best for me. In this movie, I learned a lot from it. It's almost like learning old Hollywood techniques. I've always been sort of a tomboy. I feel great being a girl, wearing a dress." Which is, I gotta say, man, killed it, Kim, because I would have never known you were a tomboy. I mean,
Yeah, me
I believe
either.
it because you
Yeah.
have such a really, like, a lively personality.
Sure.
You could be anything. You totally owned being a woman. She was all woman. I think there were a couple times where I was like, I think I even said at one point, like, there must have been a makeup department for her legs because they look
You
perfect.
said that, yeah.
She
She looked
was
flawless. She looked like a
great.
mannequin.
yes, exactly. Her
Flawless.
wow. Yeah.
She talks about, too, that she did a lot of bodybuilding, because she actually has this other quote that I really loved where she says, "There's no way to play a mannequin unless you just want to sit there like a dummy." But one of the things she wanted to do is basically to do a lot of bodybuilding, just so she could be as streamlined as possible to match the mannequins. So she put a lot of effort into not only her appearance, but I also think, like, she did a great job with character because she didn't feel like a dummy.
Right? No, she really did not.
No.
Like that was the great thing is everybody kept calling her a dummy, which is just a misnomer. It's a mannequin. It's a
Right.
like why would you call like
It's like
a
a
dummy's
crash-
like
there's
a
a crash
little
dummy with- yeah.
right? Yeah, exactly. But it did belie what she was inside, which
Oh,
was
yes.
really cool. Again, I mean that's gotta be meant. That's not just something you throw in.
You can't make that. I
Yeah.
think, Adrienne, you said this, like, not all of these things can happen. Like, there's no way this many mistakes
Right.
stack up.
Yeah,
It has
exactly.
to be meant, which you got to give props to Michael Gottlieb, who was the director, and then Michael Gottlieb and a man named Edward Rugoff were the two writers, which I thought was, I mean, I think we have to just give them a moment of props.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic.
Slow clap.
And slow clap. Yep. And I do think that, I mean, Kim Cattrall is obviously, she's a very beautiful woman, and she had the mannequin thing down, but I can see that not being a dummy was important to her, and it was really the life that she filled that mannequin with, because it was really
Strength
clear
and
and really, like, excitement, and just it's really hard, it's really charisma. It's honestly it's charisma, and it just the way it was really clear to me in some ways in the motorcycle scene was when they would
Oh my God, that
would
was an
switch
awesome
from the
scene.
angle of the same shot basically of, like, it being the actual mannequin versus her. I mean, those mannequins were cast, there were 5 that were made to look just like her.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
that mannequin looks uncanny, they look a lot like her.
Yeah.
And so much more compelling when it's her. And I mean, obviously it would be
yeah.
like that with any human, but
Sure.
but there were several scenes with the mannequin, and the mannequin is very beautiful. But when it's her,
It pops.
it pops. God,
Yeah.
it's so incredible.
They put some work into this.
Yeah.
Seriously. They did a lot with 6 million, honestly.
They really did.
Even for that time.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
You know, another moment too that I think is really cool is the moment where she talks about she wants to fly. Later in the movie, she sees a hang glider. And what's really interesting about this is, like, nobody explains to her how a hang glider works.
Right.
He doesn't say, like, this is what you do.
Yeah.
She figures it out.
Yeah.
And she uses it.
And she's
Exactly.
not scared. She's like, that was so awesome.
Yeah.
She wasn't like, oh my God, I can't do it. And he's like, you can
Yeah.
do it, baby. And, like, pushes her off
Which
the
I
fucking
think is the
airplane.
bad
No,
version.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
And
bad
this
version.
is-
And the cool thing is, I don't know if this is thought of necessarily, but mannequins are fragile.
Yes.
Mannequins could be fragile. Like,
Yeah.
they're not going to go down 5 stories and not crash. And she's not afraid. I mean, she doesn't expect anybody else to see her, but she's not afraid that at the end she's going to break.
Yep.
So she is brave in a
brave.
lot of the stuff that she does in relation to the rules of the freezing and all of the stuff. You know, she's really putting herself into the world.
Yeah. And as much as we're heaping praise on this movie, I do want to say, like, there are a few flaws and, like, the rules aren't exactly clear. It's not a perfect movie.
No.
Oh, no. The
It's
other
not-
woman, the girlfriend character, her writing really bothered me.
Was-
in some
yeah, it
parts.
was not great.
Very set. Yeah.
But I think, though, this is just a winner in so many different ways, though,
Yeah.
overall. In that, like, it's been a long time, I think, since I've watched a movie with such pure joy and happiness and, like,
Yeah.
a big smile on your face.
Yeah.
And you're not, like...
Nothing brought me down about
Never
it.
looked at my watch.
Right.
Never.
Yeah. No,
Never.
not at all.
We should mention that it was nominated for an Oscar. The song Never Gonna Stop Us Now, written by Diane Warren and Albert Hammond.
Good.
So that's
Ama-
cool.
that's so
Academy
cool.
Award nominated
Yeah.
Mannequin. So
I've noticed that they didn't really care to advertise that on their cover.
No, they
Like,
don't.
almost
They
like they
didn't.
don't think that will really be a
Yeah,
crowd
the big-
jar
yeah.
for this audience. Yeah.
Do you remember any of the taglines?
oh yeah, so there were a bunch.
'Cause
but,
there was
like,
a great one.
A couple of
I
the
can't
ones
remember.
are just because Jonathan's fallen in love with a piece of wood, it doesn't make him a dummy.
Yes.
When she comes to life, anything can happen.
Oh, I love that.
And
Yeah,
then just
that's
simply,
cute.
some guys have all the luck.
That's kind of cute.
Yeah. I don't get it.
But,
There has nothing to do with luck.
No, no, I mean,
well,
in some
kind of,
ways.
because she says that
I guess.
She chose
that
him.
She chose him. Which, but that was another thing where the rules are kind of confusing.
Yeah.
Sure.
Where, what do you mean you chose him?
You chose him, but he built you.
Oh, I am
Wait,
absolutely.
But it was almost
Yeah.
like almost like a
He
didn't-
built-
It
she-
didn't matter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
She was going to inhabit something. Like, yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. She didn't guide him to put her together in a certain way because she didn't look precisely like the dummy.
Yeah.
Like she could, whatever.
The mannequin. Jesus.
Oh my God, I
Christ,
just
dude.
did it
You
myself.
did it.
Oh my,
Oh my God.
lord.
Am I one of the baddies?
Yeah,
Yes, you
you're
are.
a baddie.
You're a baddie. You are a baddie.
No.
So let's.
Yeah.
So it sounds like we all really enjoyed this movie, but we should lock
Thumbs
some
is
things
ups.
up in the canon. Like, what can we learn? What can we learn from this movie for filmmaking?
I think you base your movie on time-tested material. Not just like a story, but old types of acting. I mean, there's clearly like vaudeville
Yeah.
and different stuff like that. Mine from the greats.
And I also think,
think,
in
you know?
that, the director, Gottlieb, he was not afraid. Like, all the actors on set were like, this is too big, it's going to be terrible.
Right, yeah.
But, like, he trusted his vision to know what he wanted to do. They were huge and
Yeah.
insanely
Yeah, they
huge.
were.
Some of the scenes
Yeah.
with Bailey and Spader are nuts.
I mean, Spader is basically doing some sort of
Weird dance.
Evil dancing.
what's that old the Italian
Jesus
archetypes?
Christ, AJ, what is? Oh, he's doing a Commedia dell'arte.
Commedia dell'arte.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I
Yeah.
wasn't. No, Commedia dell'arte.
Yeah,
That's exactly
actually
what I'm
right.
thinking
That's
about.
actually right.
Right. And I mean, it
Pantalone.
just pantalone. The miser
Yes,
or the
yes, you're right.
doing that thing. I mean,
He even adjusted his hair while running. I mean, the
I
details.
loved that, yeah.
Fuck,
Yeah.
so
yeah,
funny.
yeah.
Did you have anything you wanted to add to the canon at all? Anything at all?
I know that a cry in the
Gunpowder.
Gunpowder to the canon. Oh boy.
Come on now, you like
Hey
it.
yo.
Hey yo. Gosh.
I know the only other canon movie that you've watched with us is A Cry in the Dark, and you can't really necessarily see the intersections of it.
Clever
but-
people.
Yeah,
People want to
yeah.
see clever people.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it's just
Yeah.
it's nice to see people be not complete dummies. Dare I say?
Oh.
I liked it.
Yep.
I'll allow it. I think making sure that you don't just worry about your top two actors and then
yeah.
casting whatever, because
strong
literally
supporting
the one line bosses, like you're fired. I loved that.
Yes.
I loved every single character on screen except for Roxy, but that was
But you're
writing.
supposed to- yeah.
You're supposed to not like her.
Yeah.
But everybody else was like, wow, that really stood out to me. That was memorable to me. You were a specific character. You did your job.
And she did.
The
actor.
Oh, she did.
Player did
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
great. She was fantastic.
Definitely.
I would throw in the fact that you set a tone early.
Yes.
You figure it out. You give the audience hints that, like, hey, just so you know, this is a world where a kid could float away on a balloon.
Yep.
It's also a world where a man can come to life. Shut the fuck up. Enjoy it.
I think
right? Like, that's sort
I
of...
think people don't put tone into pre-production.
Yeah.
I think they do it a lot of times on the first or second day, and they're like, I guess this feels right. And then they maybe hit their stride in the middle, but that's something you got to think about way early. Yeah. I mean, like, I'm sure that the Naked Gun movies and the airplane movies are exactly that way. They're like, we know exactly what movie
we're doing
we want.
and we're going to go for it.
You can tell that it was in like pre-production just from costume alone, the bright colors. This is such a colorful, and I don't think it's just 80s factor.
No,
it's a colorful movie. It's bright. It has a style
look at
to
the
it.
sunglasses of Hollywood.
Oh my
I
God.
want to see what this, what the costumers, what else they've done. Or the
that would be fascinating.
Just curious. I mean, it was
but
really fun. It was really fun. But it just has to. I mean, you can't just like show up to set with that.
No, exactly.
With the fittings
you
and
have to be
everything.
ready to go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I also want to add into the canon when we make our movie, AJ. One of the things that we have to have. That I think is so fucking important. We have got to do an 80s style cartoon intro.
Yes.
Oh my God. I want to make one right now.
Just for our lives.
For our lives.
So Lisa Jensen is the costumer.
Okay.
From Berkeley, California.
Oh, represent Berkeley.
Berkeley.
NorCal.
This was her first feature film.
Wow.
She also did Dead Heat, Big Man on Campus, Fabulous Baker Boys, Free Jack.
Oh, wow.
She did Grumpy Old Men, Baby's Day Out,
She
Richie
moved
Rich,
on
George of the Jungle, Odd Couple 2, Dudley Do-Right,
Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants.
The Ringer, In the Valley of Allah.
Damn.
Swing Vote, Spy Next Door. So she's done quite a bit. Odd Thomas. I also want to put into the canon, you cast James Spader and G.W. Bailey.
In anything.
James Spader is one of those actors where I forget how good he is. And then he pops up in something like this and you're like, oh, that's right. It's not just good drama that you can do. It's not like you can play dramatic moments. Like, you make choices and you fucking go with it.
Dude, he's legitimately funny and one of the most interesting people I've ever heard on interview shows. He will talk the entire time after one question, but he's got lived. He has lived a freaking life. It's crazy. Also, final fact, I think Andrew McCarthy has directed James Spader in The Blacklist. A couple of episodes of The Blacklist. How crazy. So there you go.
Well, there you have
Small
it.
Keeping that world together.
Well, and they were also in Pretty in Pink and
that's right.
Less Than Zero together.
Yes, of course,
well.
of course.
So like they've done
but their
movies
lives have really stayed.
intersecting.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really interesting.
Kind of fun. I hope that we keep intersecting together. And that we don't kill each other eventually.
And if we do, we could totally Weekend at Bernie's it, just like Andrew McCarthy did in the feature film
Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah, I was really shoehorning that in.
That was fine.
I love that movie.
No, that was great.
It's a terrible movie, but
I'm proud of you. Proud of you.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so Nick, what are we doing next week? Oh, you can get it. You can do it. Oh, I'm assuming Dom DeLuise is in this.
Couldn't you tell by my Dom DeLuise impression?
Indeed, I could.
Dom DeLuise and Jimmy Walker.
Dynamite!
Dynamite! And Deep Roy.
Oh, yeah.
And Deep Roy. Oompa
Loompa Doompa Dee Doo.
And Boaz Davidson's Going Bananas, written by Menachem Golan.
Ooh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Awesome.
This is one of those moments where you realize Menachem Golan has no clue what kids are interested in.
Oh, yeah? Oh, God, I can't do it.
That hurts so
Yeah,
bad.
it really does. Fantastic. We'll see what's in Going Bananas next week.
Yeah, we'll be going bananas next week.
Let's go into the circus.
I know.
All right.
Yeah. Chiquita banana, Chiquita. I don't know.
That's better.
Yeah, something like
Okay,
that.
cool. Okay, wrapping it up, we want to thank Adrienne for bringing such an awesome perspective to this this show.
Well,
No, I mean,
this was really fun.
You add
Thank
a
you
lot.
for having me. No,
Yeah.
this was such a blast.
And I'm glad this was your request, right?
It was, yeah.
Fucking great. I'm so glad we did this. Can we follow you on the internets anywhere,
Yes.
socials and stuff?
Yes. I have
Promote
a
yourself,
website.
lady.
Oh my god. I have a website,
Okay.
AdrienneWhitneyPapp.com.
Cool.
Social, I believe, it's a good question. I think it's AW Papp P-A-P-P, Insta.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, all
Yep.
Papp Insta. Aw, Papp.
Love
Insta.
it. Aw.
That's about it.
You can
Fantastic.
find other Twitter and stuff through your website, right? Is that
Yes,
correct?
Yeah,
yes.
perfect.
If you go to the website,
Just Adrienne Whitney
it's
Papp.
all uphill or downhill, depending on your perspective from there.
Lovely. Nick, where can they find you?
Nicholas C. Pappas. It's on the twits, on
Fantastic.
the Twitters,
I'm
on
the
the tweeters.
I'm at the AJ Hamilton. I also have a website, but who cares?
I do.
TheAJHamilton.com.
Well,
Nice.
then I have a website, nicholascpappas.com.
God, it's not
throwing
a
that
dick
out there.
measuring contest.
Also, check out my other website, nickelback.com.
Nickelback, bumpernickel.com.
Is nickelback.com a thing?
Of course it is. I'm sure they have that.
Please be a porn site.
Follow us on Creating Canon
It's called Nickelback.
at gmail.com.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Oh my God.
It went to
we're
loveletters.com. What did I do?
We're on Instagram and Twitter and the Facebooks. You know how to search us. Jesus Christ. Email us. I just said it.
If you need a Google tutorial.
Yeah,
Google,
exactly.
Google.
Just figure it out.
Google,
It's
Google.
CANNON. And please join us next time for another wonderful episode of Creating Canon. And let's say it all together. You don't know it.
Good night.
There you
That's
go.
right. Thanks.
Are you ready?
So ready?
1, 2, 3.
Good night and good
canon.
And I'm a squid. Are you?
I'm a squid.
No, that's really fucking stupid.
All right, we're
You
done
dummy.
God, you just have to have the last word. I'm so sick of you.
Not if you edited it out.
I'm going to keep that one in too. Slow clap. They won the game. It's fine. All right, this is all staying in. To another episode of Creating Canon. Yeah, I'm going to redo that. Hello, and oh, I am peeking.
Pika pika.
Oh man, that's staying in too.